Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. In case you're wondering why I got my glasses on today, it's because we're going to go over a spreadsheet today where I think we might see Tesla by 2030 get to a $10 trillion, if not more, value, or in other words, a $10,000 price target. So I got my glasses on so I can see my spreadsheet here, but it happens when you get old. You might see some ring light in here, so I'll be mindful of that. Try not to show that too much. But before we get into it, I want to acknowledge a couple things. First of all, clearly, big news today: Elon Musk has acquired Twitter, or the board has approved Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter at $54.20. So for Twitter, for the company, for Elon Musk, congratulations to all of them. Exciting news for them. Hopefully, this just means that things are going to be even better than what they were. So, you just got to hope for the best moving forward. I do have to disclose, I did do something honestly stupid. It's probably stupid I'm doing this. I'm gambling. I'm doing things that I shouldn't be doing, but frankly, it's just with a little bit of play money, so it's nothing too crazy. What did I do? What am I talking about? Well, I went ahead and bought some Twitter shares. My logic is simply it's going to get bought out for $54.20, assuming there's no hiccups, which there very well might be. Wow, struggling today. So there could be some hiccups. There might be some regulatory issues, some antitrust issues, some Biden doesn't want him to do it, some SEC doesn't want him to do it. So you never know what could happen here. But assuming that the deal does close, then I will make about $3 on my $51 a share price for Twitter. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I just the idea came across me today. It's like, you know what? Why not? Let's just jump into this. It's not a big investment. It's not a big portion of my portfolio. So, don't worry about it. Don't recommend this to anybody. Don't do this. Don't do this. This is honestly stupid. It's silly. This is gambling. This is not what Investing Against the Grain is all about. I just did it on the spur of the moment. All right. Well, with that stuff out of the way, what I want to talk about today is the spreadsheet I've been working on. And the impetus behind this spreadsheet is really to kind of crowdsource what everyone else there thinks and to see if we can get to our own opinion of where things might be in 2030. So the way I see it with Tesla, we have until 2030 to see a certain amount of return. And so if we can determine what a conservative point of view is for that potential yield by 2030 could look like, well, then maybe we can really determine how valuable or how good of an idea it is to invest in Tesla today. Obviously, you guys know my opinion. I'm holding it for the next 10, 20, probably forever. To be honest, I'll probably never actually sell the shares themselves. If anything, I'll take debt out against it for a living, things of that nature. But the idea is just to see where we could be. So again, this is a absolutely not hardened sheet at all. My goal is to make it hardened by, say, the end of the month. So by May 1st, I want this to be hardened and something that I feel confident in from a 2022 perspective. And at that point, what I can do is I'll make this immutable, and then we can have one for 2023, 2024, and maybe once a year we update this and see where we are and where things stand and see if we're progressing on the timeline that we think we should be. All right, and so I don't know. I thought it'd be fun. I haven't seen a lot of people do something like this where, we kind of crowdsource ideas. So I'm going to share my screen now. We'll look at my model. Again, keep in mind, none of this investment advice. This is a very rough model, but I need feedback. Okay. I want feedback, good, positive, constructive feedback. Don't be, don't be mean out there. Don't be disrespectful, but let me know down below in the comments if you think something should be changed. It should be using a different number, and then maybe attach with it, not just you think it's wrong or it should be different, but give an explanation, give a why behind it, right? Contextualize your reasoning. All right, with that said, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so here you can see the spreadsheet, and you can see at the very top, it starts with the auto business. So the way I did this is I broke it out based on business segments. So we have auto business with FSD, with robo-taxis, energy, etc. Right? So we're going to go on down the line. And so the idea is to assign a price value for 2030 based on each segment. A couple things I left out. I'm not including insurance. I kind of dismissed solar panels, solar roof, or any of that. All I'm doing is mega packs. And I think that pretty much covers it all. All right, so let's start with the auto business. So let me go ahead and build it out here. All right, so here we can see the auto business. Number of vehicles sold 2030. I'm assuming 10 million. That may not seem conservative to a lot of you, but here's my rationale. I think it's conservative because Elon is planning for 20 million vehicles around that time frame. So the way I got to 10 million vehicles was essentially what I did was I took 2021. I'm assuming 2022 we're going to do 50%. So say 1.5 million vehicles, right? A little more than 50%. So 1.5 million vehicles for 2022. What I did was I assumed that 2023, 2024, we also grow by at minimum 50%. And then after those 2 years, 50%, we grow 40%, then 30%, then 20%, then 10%, then 10%. So that gets us to actually over 10 million vehicles, assuming my math's right. But so I think 10 million can be very conservative here. So let's assume that's conservative. Let's say 10 million is conservative, especially when we're looking at a 20 million overall vehicle. So then we get to the average selling price. So here for the average selling price, I have $40,000. Now, again, I think this is conservative. Why? Because right now the average selling price is $52,500. In order to get to $40,000 per vehicle, that means we're going to have to be selling vehicles under $40,000. And also, remember, $40,000 is below 2022's new vehicle sale price. So if we're looking at $40,000 in 2030, then you know this has been extremely discounted. So I think this is, again, extremely conservative. Revenue, pretty straightforward math. Margin, we're going to say 30%. All right, 30% may not be conservative, but I think it will be. I think that Tesla will inevitably get to about 40% gross margin with their vehicles, especially with new technologies, new ways of manufacturing with Berlin and Austin. Who knows what the future holds. So gross profit, expenses, we're going to assume 25%. Net profit, again, we're just subtracting the expense from gross profit. Market cap. Okay, so I'm putting a 50 PE onto this. My rationale here is I look at Apple, I look at Amazon. I'm trying to kind of get the average between them. It gives me about a 50. I think 50 by 2030 is still very conservative. I think Tesla's still going to be growing immensely. I think other segments of Tesla will start becoming on, humanoid, things of that nature. So let's just assume a 50. I think that's a big discount. But if we assume that, that gets us a stock price of 4,671. Again, it's this market cap divided by the shares outstanding, which this can all look different, shares outstanding, all of that after splits and stuff in 2030. But the idea here is the same. So $4,671 by 2030. So call it a 4.6x on your money right now in 8 years. That's not a bad deal. Okay, that's pretty impressive. So that's the auto business. Again, feel free down below, comment. I want to hear your reactions. Let me know. Like, this should be something that you guys should have input as well. That way, once I make it immutable, we can change it year after year. So doesn't mean just because you say a certain number, I'm going to agree with it. I'll put it in there. But if enough people say the same thing or have a good rationale behind why something should be changed, I'm going to put it and I'm going to listen to it. So the whole idea here is to be less wrong. Okay, so next we're going to go to FSD. So here we can see FSD, and I did this in a kind of different way. So number of subscribers, 40%. What I did was I went ahead and counted up the amount of vehicles I would estimate if we got to 10 million by 2030, adding up how many vehicles were sold in the previous years, you add them all together, and I'm assuming only 40% of them are going to subscribe to FSD. So that gives us 40%. So that's 12,000 or 12 million people. I'm also assuming that Tesla is only charging $100 a month on FSD as a subscription. I don't think that they will be selling FSD as a package the way they do now. Right today, it's $12,000. I don't think they'll be doing that. I think it'll only be available as a subscription. So my assumption is $100. I think the price comes down as technology gets more popular and masses get it, tends to come down in price. So let's assume $100 here. So that's $1,200 a year. You can see the revenue. Margin, this is software, so very low overhead. We're going to assume 85%. Expenses, we're assuming 10%. Market cap, we're going to PE, we're going to keep at 50. We're going to keep 50 the whole time just to be consistent. And you can see this adds $571 to the total price, to the total stock price. So 571 plus $4,670, that gives you well over a 5x in 8 years on your return. And again, this I think is pretty conservative, but I did. So I went with my best friend earlier today. Actually, we had a cup of coffee, and I want to run him through this and see what holes he could poke on. And honestly, throughout this whole spreadsheet, the only thing he really could poke a hole in is this FSD one. And what he had a really good point actually. His main point was he doesn't know if him as a user, if he would pay $100 a month for FSD just in general. Right? Maybe if he was taking a trip to New York or a trip to California, that'd be one thing. But on a day-to-day basis, just to go to the gym, just to go to the grocery store, he's not sure that he would find value in it, or at least not $100 a month worth of value. And I thought that was a good point. So the caveat I want to put is that this all holds true, everything right here for FSD, under one condition. Under the condition that people who have FSD and pay for the subscription can take their vehicle and put it into the Tesla Robotaxi network. Assuming that's the case, I think this stands. If not, I can see this turning into maybe where you pay by the mile that you use FSD. Maybe you can turn FSD on and off, which might be a better way to do it. And maybe you can have like spot pricing. Ooh, that's a good, wow, sorry, I just thought of this. Maybe you can have spot pricing. Right? Just like you would see like AWS and Azure, where if you just decide you want the ability to turn on, turn off, you pay more for it on a per mile basis. However, if you have a subscription for it, say by the month, then you get a lower price. Or if you do a year's worth of subscriptions, even lower. I'd be surprised. That's probably how they're gonna do it, to be honest. All right. So, anyways, so in 8 years, you can effectively 5x your money, assuming these numbers are right. Okay, Robotaxi. So this is the one that gets kind of fun. All right, my assumption here is that, so you can see it here. So my assumption here is that, okay, they release FSD works, and they start Robotaxis. So here they start off with just 10,000 Robotaxis, and then they add 25,000, then 50,000, then 75,000, etc. You get the point. So essentially at this point, it's been out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Okay, so it's been out for about 7 years. So it's roughly around the time frame Elon has set, right? So 2024 really starts 2023. He said volume production by 2024, right? This kind of checks out. So assuming they have a kind of slow ramp up like that, this gets us 500,000 vehicles. What I'm assuming here too is that they each drive 100,000 miles per year. Now, where did I get that number from? Well, I looked it up. Uber and Lyft, the average mileage driven per year is about anywhere from 50 to 60,000 miles per year for an Uber Lyft driver. A yellow cab is averaging about 70,000 miles per year. Now, keep in mind, the average cost per mile for those vehicles is $2 to $4. What I'm assuming here is that Tesla only charges $1 per mile. So if I'm dropping by easily from 75 to 50% of the cost per mile driven, you would think that would increase the total addressable market, right? So at $1 per mile, this should increase the total addressable market for robotaxis or for just ride hailing in general. And so I think with that, we can see upwards to 100,000 miles per year. So all these things, are the asterisks and the assumptions. So 100,000 per year, 510,000 vehicles, $1 per mile, total revenue. You can see it here. Margin, I'm assuming 80%. This may be completely off. This may be way too low. I'm saying 80%. It's not as high as 85 here for FSD because FSD is just software. But here we have to assume the cost of the vehicle, the robotaxi to be made. But at the same time, it's not going to be as expensive as a normal vehicle. It won't have pedals. It won't have a steering wheel. I mean, I'm sure it'll be way more minimalist, right? But who knows? Maybe it'll be more expensive. This is the biggest thing I think is wrong is this 80%. So let me know, please, down below in the comments. I need feedback. I need more thoughts. I need to crowdsource ideas here of what this should look like. Well, let's keep that 80%. Gross profit, expenses, we assume 10%. Again, that might be too low. You can see the net profit. If we stick with the 50 PE, we get $1,905 added to the stock price. All right, so at this point, we're looking at, call it $7,000, a $7 trillion company at this point, $7,000 a share. That would be a 7x on your money. Now, this is where people start to get really excited about robotaxi because I have all these assumptions here. Watch, let's get really conservative. Let's say I drop this down to 40%. Okay, and we got to change the gross profit here as well. Okay, so let's say that we drop it all down to 40%. Okay, so that's pretty good, pretty conservative. That drops our stock price to $952 added. So instead of a 7x, we're looking at a 6x. Oh no, right? Rough times. 8 years, 6x your money, pretty good. Now, let's say that we actually hit the numbers that Elon Musk called for. And he said initially that he wants to get to a robo-taxi fleet of 10 million vehicles. So if we do that, what do the numbers look like? 10 million vehicles, $1 per mile, 100,000 miles per year. We're looking at a stock price, adding to a stock price of $18,685. That's insane. Make it even cheaper. Cut this down to 2.5 to 50 cents. 50 cents a mile. You're still adding $9,000 to the stock price, right? Make it even easier. We'll drop this down to 5 million. What do we have here? We're looking at 4,006. I mean, it's wow. That was not intentional. Somehow that came out to the exact same price of the vehicles. All right. Yeah, I swear to God, none of this is staged. Yeah, somehow that number just came out. So 4671, 4671. All right, so that's 8, call that 9. That's 10 trillion, right? That's a $10 trillion company right there. So no matter how you look at it, if it gets that big, that's what we're looking at. But I'm just going to put everything back the way it was. Let me exit out of this. Let's just get back. All right. Okay, and we're going to go on to the next. So let's just keep the road taxi where it was. We'll say $1,900. And we're going to go into energy. All right, so energy, this one is where I think things get a little more interesting, even more interesting than the road taxi. So we know that Elon Musk has predicted or called for 3 terawatt hours by the year 2030. All right. So that gives us a framework to work within. So 3 terawatt hours. Now here, again, for energy, I'm only assuming megapacks. That's it. And remember that Tesla has this new factory that they're building for megapacks alone. So if we assume that they can do 333,000 megapacks per year, 333,000. Now keep in mind, 1 megapack is the equivalent of 3 megawatt hours. So if I have 333,000 megapacks, that's the equivalent of 1 terawatt hour. So, and keep me honest here, like double check my math. I mean, there's probably mistakes somewhere in all of this. So double check me. Again, the idea, this isn't rock hard. The idea is to get this to a state where we can make it immutable. All right, so if that's 1 terawatt hour, Elon's been calling for 3 terawatt hours. Well, where are we at with the 10 million vehicles? Well, if we assume that each vehicle has 75 kilowatt hours in it, that only gets us to 0.75 terawatt hours and an aggregate of 1.75 terawatt hours. So that's crazy. Like that's so undercutting where Elon thinks they'll be. So we're undercutting the auto business by 10 million. We're undercutting FSD, I think, and that's kind of hard to really estimate. We're really undercutting robo-taxis. Not that he's given a time frame for 10 million, but he's saying that they'll be at volume production by 2024, and we're only sitting here at 510,000 vehicles in 2030. And then we're extremely undercutting the energy. So I think we are being pretty conservative here. But let's carry this out for energy. 333,000 megapacks to be built. The average selling price is $1 million. You can see the revenue. Margins, assuming 30% margins on it. Gross profit, expenses of 25%, same as the vehicle was. You can see here your net profit. If we throw a 50 PE on it, this gives us $3,892 added to the stock price. Now, why is that very interesting? Well, remember, Elon has been saying that he thinks that the energy business could be as big, if not bigger, than the vehicle business. And look, it's not bigger, but it's damn close, right? $4,671 to the $3,892.74. That is pretty massive. All right, so I'm very bullish on the energy part of it. I know energy has been highly disappointing over the last few quarters. Well, I mean, pretty much always with Tesla, but I think mass scale, the master plan part 3, I think is going to be about increasing energy, about building out more gigafactories. I think we're about to see energy really pick up. All right, so let's get into humanoids, and I've split up humanoids into hardware and software. So My anticipation is that 2030 is the first year that they're actually deploying humanoids to the public, to the masses. And they only do 100,000 humanoids. So average selling price, I'm saying 30,000. Elon said that the humanoid will cost less than the vehicles. So 30,000 is that. And it's even less than the 40,000 I have up here. So this is all checking out. Margins, we'll say 40%. It's hardware. Okay. So we're going to say 40%. It's a little bit better than the vehicle, but it's also easier, less things, less parts, less material needed for this. Expenses, 25, net profit. We throw 50 PE on it. We're only adding $46 to the stock price. So it's nothing that crazy. It just started. It's just ramping out. We're ramping up. It's just selling for the first time. So nothing to get too crazy or too wild here. Now, the software side of it, 100,000 humanoid software. So here's my prediction of how this will work. I think that Tesla will sell the hardware, and then there will be a monthly subscription on it. And I think it'll be around $500. Okay, I'm picking a number out of the air. Why do I think 500? I don't know. It just seems like a good number. Easy math. But why do I think this is what they'll do? Well, I think you'll be able to unlock certain features based on what you need it for. So if you need a humanoid to be able to do some very dangerous, tough, dirty, laborious jobs, well, you might have to unlock a certain package to get that, or unlock certain features. However, if all I need the robotaxi, the humanoid to do is fold laundry, do some dishes, walk my kid to school, I mean, that might be a lot less, right? Because I'm not needing it to do all these extra things. So anyway, so I'm assuming $500 a month. I think, for the everyday user at home, maybe it's only $75 a month. For a person who's using it to flip burgers and, replace a $40,000, $50,000 a year employee. I'm not saying all burger flippers making that much money, but you never know, right? Somebody who's digging graves or in construction, whatnot. I think paying $6,000 a year is not crazy. It's no different than realtors, right? With MLS, right? They pay a fee for that. It's, I think this is pretty standard. So $500 a month for that. Gross margins comes out to 85%. It's software at this point. Expenses, net profit, 50 PE. It only adds $23 to the stock price. But here's the part that gets interesting. So remember, as the hardware scales, it's not compounding. But when the software scales, it is compounding, because we still get paid on these 100,000 the next year and the next year and the next year, right? The hardware, we don't. This is a one-time cost. So this keeps compounding. So eventually the software just goes nutty, right? So that's kind of exciting. All right. So where are we left here? So at the end, we're left with, you take the auto business, we take the FSD business, we take the robotaxi business, the energy business, the humanoid hardware, and the humanoid software, and we're at $11,112 per share, assuming all this plans out. Now, you can look at this different ways, right? So this is everything. We'll just write everything here, okay? Oh, I can't spell. Okay, so that's everything. But let's get conservative. What if we say the only thing that pans out is the car business and the energy business? Okay, so what does that come out to? Well, let's add the energy business and the car business, and boom, that's a 8.5x on your money in 8 years. Okay, maybe you think that all this is crazy. So maybe we got to cut this in half. Maybe they only make 5 million vehicles. I think that's 5 million. Nope, I need to add a zero. Let's say they only do 5 million vehicles. Let's say FSD doesn't happen. Robotaxi don't happen. Energy is only, it's half of this, or a third of this. Let's say 100,000. Okay. This means that we are still at this and this. We're still going to a 3.5x on your money in 8 years. I mean, and this is ultimate. I mean, this is, things went really bad for Elon and everybody. All right. Now, the idea here is just to play around with all of this. Again, these numbers can look a lot different. Who knows what's going to happen in 2030? I want it to be somewhat aggressive, somewhat bullish, but at the same time, I want to be conservative. So I'm trying to balance a lot of things here. You saw there with the robo-taxis, I can easily make this to 50, 60, 70 trillion dollar, $1,000 stock easily. But I don't want to do that. I want to be very methodical, kind of pragmatic when it comes to this. I'm trying to lower my bullishness, my fanboyness, but I need your help. So let me know down below in the comments. Let me know what I should change, why I should change the things you believe I should change, and maybe we can iterate this and I can review this again with all of you. Maybe we'll do a live stream where we review this and we kind of work this out to make it more realistic. And then what I would like to do is kind of make it immutable. In other words, not to be changed, and then make another one for in 2023. And we'll go on 2023 based on the results we saw from 2022 and what we're hearing for the future. And that way we can track along. And what's the real impetus behind this? Well, if you know where we might be going in 2030, long-term investing, well, then we know to hold out and we know to be patient and we know where we're really trying to go to. And this helps you understand that these day-to-day movements are really irrelevant. And that's the goal, is to see the bigger picture. This is why I love doing models, because it gives you a sight to what's to come. And this is math, okay? We can put these numbers in, and it's not like these numbers are just coming out of the thin air, right? Margins, the amount of vehicles, the way they're ramping, right? The predictions of where we're going to go to. These are things that we either see concrete numbers on that have already executed and been presented forth to us, whether it's for quarterly earnings or just results in general. And for our future predictions, we have what Elon and Drew and Zach and all of them are predicting. So as crazy as some of these numbers may seem, it's not like they're out of nowhere or thin air. So there is concrete rationale behind a lot of this. But again, I want your help, so let me know down below. So let me know down below in the comments what you think and what I should change. All right, we're going to leave it there. Do me a favor, if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. I love you all. Peace.